What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Jericho Report Weekly News Briefing. It is Sunday, the 16th of October, 2022, halfway through the month already. The year's almost gone. Another week of madness. As always, the first link below will take you to the Patreon post. That's where you can find all the madness I'm going to give you. It has been a week of madness indeed. Let's start off with a couple of shootings. 5 dead in Raleigh, North Carolina shooting spree. Of course, they're calling for gun control. Please see the New World Order and Police State news coming up. We also got 2 Bristol police officers killed, 1 severely injured. Where is this now? This is in Connecticut. Put a link to this. In the COVID news, we got U.S. extends COVID-19 public health emergency declaration. Of course, we can't let this crisis go to waste. We got to keep this thing going. But wait, I thought the pandemic was over. Isn't that what the president said? Let's see here.
So the president was very clear. COVID is not over. There's a lot of work to do.
Oh, it's not over.
300 to 400 Americans.
The president was very clear. No, that's not what he said. You can go back and watch my report from 2 or 3 reports ago. He very clearly said it was over. Anyway, new COVID surge could hit U.S. soon. Oh, here it comes. Are you ready for the winter wave? I'll put a link to this from today. We got this. Now, here's a piece from OAN, which I can only play a little section of it. Let's just see what they're saying.
From heart attacks and strokes to paralysis, neuropathy, and explosive increase in cancer, autoimmune diseases, and
unknown
even
reasons.
Sudden death. With young, healthy people in the prime of their lives simply falling down dead.
Can't play much more of that. I'll put a link to it, though. Did you know it may be because of video games? Video games could trigger lethal heart attacks in kids. Is your time? The video game could cause you a heart attack. On top of all the other things. Let's see here. Can't make this up. Moderna's CEO announces development of new mRNA injection to repair heart muscle after heart attack. Imagine that. A vaccine to repair your heart. Put a link to it. Biden says, over in Joe Biden news, Biden says his son Bo lost his life during Iraq, but he died in 2015 of brain cancer. He's losing his mind. Oops, but he drops his cue card. Yes, he did. Let's see if we can get the video on this. He drops his cue cards in his oh, yeah, let me get that for you. Yeah, no, you're old. You can't. Okay, what else we got here? Why does Jill Biden feel the need to dress in patterns similar to home furniture, curtains, and wallpaper? Somebody pointed this out this week. She's always dressing like home furniture. And I got one. Did you see what the vice president said this week?
The bottom line there is nobody should have to go to jail for smoking weed.
Nobody should have to go to jail for smoking weed. I agree with her, although I know it's all political. They want, the weed smokers on their side as we head into the midterms. Anyway, over to financial news. How major U.S. stock indexes fared on the Friday. How did the Dow do? The Dow fell 403 points before the week. I believe the Dow was up 338 points, 1.2. Closed the week 29,634. Still under 30,000. Put a link to the recap data. Inflation is at 75-year high. Unemployment 24%, says John Williams. I don't know the man, but I'll put a link to this. He's probably right. U.S. Congressman introduces gold standard bill as inflation spirals out of control. I appreciate your efforts, but we're never going back to that. We're going, we're going into the future, the digital currency, chip in your hand and all that, but I'm crazy. Let's see. Britain's post-COVID economic challenge is worse than 2008 financial crisis, says leaders in the UK. Put a link to that. Back home in America, I'm making 6 figures, still can't afford NYC. Apple suffers brain drain as young and educated flee. Can't afford to live in a city. Well, I wouldn't want to live there either now with all of the incoming. You see all the camps that are setting up for the migrants. Let's see. Moderna, invest in Moderna, I guess. Their stock jumps after cancer vaccine. Not only are they making a vaccine to repair your heart, now they're going to repair all the cancers that they... This is from the Wall Street Journal. Put a link to that. Sky News says third of petrol stations out of fuel in France as strikes continue. Apparently there's strikes going on in the petrol division. Indeed, people are fighting at gas stations. I got a video here. People kicking each other, spitting in each other's faces. Put a link to this. Go woke. PayPal stock fined 6% after a flood of users canceled over... PayPal, I don't think I included this last week. They were going to start fining people $2,500 if they say something that PayPal doesn't agree with. They're going to just take money out of your account. Well, people are closing their account in droves. And right on, I hope PayPal crashes and burns. They took my account over something I said about Sandy Hook years ago. Put a link to this. PayPal appears to be desperately offering bribes of $15 to stop droves of people. $15? That's all you got? Put a link to that. Alex Jones ordered to pay $965 million in Sandy Hook defamation trial. What they have done to this man. They not only want to destroy him, but they want to send a message to all of the rest of us out here. You shall not, you can't say these things, or you will be completely destroyed. Please tell me your thoughts on that. I got one at the bottom. Here's one. Biden gives 300,000 illegals free cell phones, costing U.S. taxpayers $360,000 a day. Obama phone part 2. You don't mind, do you? Over to New World Order and Police State News. This is where I stop you and ask you to please share this report. There's stuff going on here people need to know about. And I really got to kind of keep my voice down. I got to remember it's the middle of the night. All the windows are open because it's fall. It's all nice and smelling like fireplaces in here. I love that. But, my neighbors are probably, every week about this time, what is he yelling at? He always yells at this time every week. I don't know. Anyway, over to New World Order and Police State News. Biden renews calls for assault weapons ban after riot. Of course he does. I'll put a link to this. In fact, leaders all over the place have come up. Here's another one. North Carolina national leaders call for gun reform because it's the guns' fault. Don't you know? We got to get rid of these evil guns. Put a link to that. Let's see. How about the plan? Here's what the WEF, the World Economic Forum lead advisor, has to say about human beings.
The big political and economic question of the 21st century will be, what do we need humans for? Or at least, what do we need so many humans for?
Do you have an answer in the book?
At present, the best guess we have is keep them happy with drugs and computer games.
Keep them happy with drugs and computer games. I'd like to know what kind of drugs the two mass shooters this week were on. Any pharmaceuticals? Anything prescribed by a doctor? Put a link to this. Let's see. A woman took young daughter from ex-husband's custody to prevent vaccination. Now she's being charged with a crime. How dare she not want stuff shot into her child? I'll put a link to this. Your thoughts? January 6th committee votes to subpoena former President Donald Trump. Wonder if he'll show up. I wonder, that'll be entertaining. January 6th detainees say that the D.C. jail is so awful they'd like to be transferred to Gitmo. Put a link to this from NPR. Let's see here. Non-binary. Look at this. I'm going to start putting the LGBT, the stuff that the kid. I usually put this in the strange news, right? This is going to be transitioned to the New World Order and Police State News because this isn't adults making adult decisions about who they may or may not want to be. It's not up to me to tell you who to be. This is about an agenda on the kids. Look at this. Non-binary students raised by 582%. 582% in Maryland School District. Man, look at this. Virginia parents could face felony charges for not affirming child's gender identity. Let me repeat that. Virginia parents could face felony charges for not affirming child's gender identity. We're going into some sick shit here, people. Here's an interesting one. GLP thread for you. Hundreds of Muslims shut down public school board meeting in Michigan protesting LGBTQ books. We are the majority and no homosexuals and all this. I'd love your thoughts on that. The Muslims getting involved in the fight. Put a link to it. Very interesting. A lot of videos there. TikTok bans the term White Lives Matter. Of course, this is all Kanye West stuff, but now you can't say White Lives Matter. What's the matter with you? D.C. Attorney General opens investigation into Republican governor shipping immigrants to the Capitol. This is an immigration news, and I got one more here. Texas sheriff certifies Martha's Vineyard illegal immigrants as victims of a crime. Of course, he's a Democratic sheriff. In bid to get them special visas. Victims of a crime? They're the ones that committed the crime. Shh. Okay, over to World War III news. Ukraine behind terrorist attack on Crimean Bridge. It says Putin. This is the thing I should have reported last week. I apologize for this not being in last week's report. Of course, you got that bridge that was blown up. Of course, Putin is blaming Ukraine. Put a link to that. We got Russian missile chief says we can nuke your AMD. Is that advanced missile defense? I think it is. That from RT. Put a link to that. Putin deploys 11 nuclear bombers just 20 miles from NATO border as Ukraine tensions rise. So the bombers are on the ground. John Bolton suggests U.S. could take out Putin if he uses nuclear weapons. Getting ahead of myself here. Put a link to that. Now check this out. Putin warns of global catastrophe if NATO troops clash directly with Russia and he says there is no need for massive strikes on Ukraine for now. This is a new piece that's come out October 14. Is he dialing it back a little bit? I don't know. Could have something to do with this. Russia, allies China and India call on Putin to de-escalate war. Is he trying to de-escalate things now? We'll see what happens. Biden vows new air defense systems for Ukraine on top of the billions and trillions we've already given them. Put a link to that. American gas is inferior to Russia's gas, says Putin. Put a link to this from RT. Meanwhile, another leak has been found in key Russian oil pipeline to Germany, says Polish operator. Put a link to that. North Korea continues to fire missiles after aircraft buzzes the South Korean border. This is not from last week. This is a new one. He continues to shoot missiles off the coast. Put a link to that. Let's see. Trans women must register for the draft. Trans men don't have to, says the Biden administration. And I got one at the bottom. U.S. Army to expand rate rule. Obese soldiers are now welcomed. More and more desperate for recruits, I would say. Over to Earth changes in 2012 news. I got the earthquake monitor set up for 6 points and above for the past week. We had a 6.4 on the 13th, 6.3 on the 11th, 6.2 on the 9th. Put a link to the earthquake data. Not much going on. A little bit of shaking on Hawaii. Strong shaking felt in Hawaii after magnitude 5.0. Quake rattles the islands. This is because of series of earthquakes rattles Hawaii amid volcano unrest. Put a link to this. We got unrest at the volcanoes in Hawaii. Back in the mainland, we got It's a Tsunami. Storm of surge. Survey crews uncover startling damage from Ian. This is Florida has been wiped out. We got Florida citrus growers face crop loss of up to 80% in wake of Ian. Put a link to this. No more oranges, not this year. Why Ian may push Florida real estate out of reach of all but the super rich. Indeed, the cost of rebuilding Florida is going to be massive. Put a link to that. Out in California, a tree trimmer dead after falling into wood chipper. What a shitty way to die, man. Rest in peace. That sucks. Police up in Oregon warn beachgoers about grenade washing ashore. Bomba. Put a link to this from The Guardian. Let's see. Out in space, the first crop of space mining companies didn't work out. There's a new generation of space mining. Put a link to that. Alien. NASA's DART spacecraft did indeed change the path of the asteroid. New data shows, this is 4 days ago. Indeed, I got another one on that. NASA concludes DART's asteroid strike had 3 times the anticipated impact. That from MarketWatch. And I got one at the bottom. A time traveler claims huge meteor will bring aliens to Earth in a few months. Hot green alien bitches! Over to strange and bizarre news. I got a lot of video to play for you here. Check this out. Somebody caught this. Apparently the McDonald's drive-thru worker is just hanging at the register, high as can be. There she goes. Look at the camera. Can I help you today? Put a link. It's tragically funny. I'll put a link to that. Meanwhile, at another eatery across town, we got this going on.
They just robbed a chicken spot for food.
Morbidly obese people are going into the chicken eatery and just taking the food off the tables. Masked, obese robbers taking your chicken. Put a link. Hey, take the chicken, man. Hey, peace. Put a link to that. Meanwhile, at the local convenience store, we got this going on. Oh, it's madness. Thank you. Come again. Look at this. The craziness going on in this world. Meanwhile, at the local St. Louis Walmart, we got this going on. Look at this. This is the whole front end of the store is just fighting. This fight's going on over here, over there. Stuff's being thrown around. This lady's got the stick.
Hello.
What?
Hello. Hey, hello.
Oh my God. We got this going on somewhere in America. This guy's shot somebody and then put a gun to his head.
No, stop, don't do it.
Apparently the gun jammed and then guy comes out, cha-cha! He kicks him in the head. Put a link to that. Man, oh man, look at this. Dads shoot each other. Dads shoot each other's daughters in Florida road rage gunfight. Apparently 2 guys are having road rage and they ended up shooting at each other's cars. Both had a daughter in the car. Both got shot. I think the daughters are going to be okay. What the man? Put a link to it. Brazilian woman 36 is on the run after flying into a jealous rage and shooting her cheating boyfriend in the back. She sure does too. She comes up right behind him as he gets the door and boom. Was she high on mushrooms? I don't know. This guy was high on mushrooms. Guy charged in United Airlines flight chaos spree. That from the New York Post. Lizzo lands on Vanity Fair cover and disses her fans. I am not making music for white people. Well, I've never heard any of your music, and the only time I've ever even seen you was on that South Park episode, and you were looking for smush mush. We got this here horror moment as porn star is at some sort of Twitch event, jumps off the thing and breaks her back in 2 places. Oh, she jumped right on her back, on her tailbone, and her back is broken in 2. I don't know. I looked up some of her work. She is a disgusting whore. Don't Google her name. You don't want to see any of that. I mean, anyway, babies know they're going to be trans once they're born. Harvard-affiliated hospital says, I'll put a link to this. Babies know they're trans once they're born. And guess who showed up at a parent-teacher or parent school district meeting?
Phobia here, folks.
Look at this.
Can you believe it? I'm trying to deliver.
You discriminate against it. I'm trying to deliver documents.
Which one of you is going to take it? Which one of you is going to take it?
Oh my goodness, that's all I got in the news. Check out my favorites for more news. Dimcat's got one. Oh man, Dimcat has lost a lot of weight. Good for you, Reggie. Man, hospitals bracing for twindemic, flu, and COVID. Look, all kinds of fresh news in my favorites. Thank you to everybody continuing to put out content, keeping everybody informed. You guys are doing awesome work. I got a few shout outs this week. Shout out to Kanye West. Never thought I'd be giving a shout out to Kanye West, but some of the things he's been saying, he's come out and he, he's doing the whole White Lives Matter, and he's been banned from Instagram and Twitter and all this other crap. He says the majority of the media have a godless agenda. He's right. If you scroll down here, he does an interview at Fox News. He says he's saying all kinds of stuff, and he's like one of these people that have truly, I believe, when I hear the man speak, that he's on the right side. And you can see, just Google the name Kanye West and look at the stories that come up. They are doing the same thing that they do to they're canceling this man. They are doing just all kinds of smear pieces and all this and that, because I believe he's got the truth in his heart that's coming out. I'll put a link to shout out to Alberta Premier Danielle Smith. Listen to what she had to say about the unvaccinated.
The community that faced the most restrictions on their freedoms in the last year were those who made a choice not to be vaccinated. I don't think I've ever
shout out to this political person who actually has the balls to come out and say something.
Experienced a situation in my lifetime where a person was fired from their job, or not allowed to watch their kids play hockey, or not allowed to go visit a loved one in long-term care or hospital, or not allowed to go get on a plane to either go across the country to see family or even travel across the border. So they have been the most discriminated against group that I've ever witnessed in my lifetime. That's a pretty extreme level of discrimination that we have seen. I don't take away any of the discrimination that I've seen in those other groups that you mentioned, but this has been an extraordinary time in the last year in particular, and I want people to know that I find that unacceptable.
Now, I don't know this woman. I don't know her politics, but shout out to her for standing up and saying something about it. How people have just been... I'll put a link to it. And shout out to Lauren Boebert. Lauren Boebert, look at this, conducts masterful troll of Biden and the left. Check it out. You know, Biden did the whole thing. Let me say 2 words, made in America. She says 2 words, let's go, Brandon. That is just genius. And of course, there's this Mr. Star Trek calling her out. Of course, everybody starts calling her out. Oh, she's illiterate. She can't count. Do any of these people know that she's simply mocking Joe Biden? I don't know. It's beautiful. I'll put a link to that. That's all I got for this week, guys. If you'd like to report, please give me a thumbs up or thumbs down. If you think it sucked, it's the worst, you never want to see again, please rate. It helps it move around. I appreciate it. You can also follow me in all my links below. My Gab, Twitter, Facebook, all those links are at the bottom. You can support me on Patreon or directly with DonorBox. I put a lot into this, of course. A lot went into this one. It's late at night. I probably woke the neighbors up, but that's all right. We got to get the Jericho report done. Sorry the report's a little late. It's been a long night. But tell me your thoughts on what's going on. And sorry about the porn star comments. I should have never Googled that. We live in a world of very dark things sometimes. And, you know, the only thing we could try to do is see the beautiful things going on at the same time to try to balance it out. Try to find some sort of balance in your mind and your heart. Thank you guys for hanging out with me for a few minutes on a Sunday, though. I love you very much. Have a good rest of the weekend. Have a good week. You guys take care. Stay safe. I will see you on the next one.